one point, she even said that Kirk's something fans rarely hear unless the situation is spiraling. Kirk said in a broken voice. "You don't understand," he whispered, wiping his face. "I am weary, Yaz. I'm sick of acting as if nothing is wrong. I'm sick of fleeing from everything, weary of selecting the everyone wants a different version of myself." For an instant, Jasmine froze. She wasn't the self-assured fiery lady that people saw on TV. She seemed terrified, like she was aware that the Frost family may be destroyed or rebuilt by the next statement. "What are you saying, Kirk?" A loud noise came from outside before he could respond. The door of a trailer slammed. They were both surprised by it. The crew member who subsequently shared the video said he believed Rashida was coming back early. To be honest, Jasmine seems to agree with it as well. Something within her cracked due to that terror. Her tone became defensive and icy. "Kirk, no. No, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not keeping anything a secret. I'm not skulking about like when things become complicated. You may edit away portion of the plot." Kirk took a step forward and lowered his voice to a whisper, but the hot microphone still picked it up. "I never lost interest in you. And when the leak came to light, it was the moment that drove the internet into a tailspin." There was mayhem among the supporters. The crew was split up. At 2 a.m., VH1 reportedly convened an emergency meeting, to be talk about the legality of the video. However, the evening was far from ended, because another unexpected individual entered at that same moment. The door slowly creaked open. The slowness indicates that the person behind it wasn't meant to be there. Kirk, as well as Jasmine's eyes darted to the door as they both startled. Even the crew member who was leaking said in a murmur, "Oh my God," as the stranger intervened to write the main Tainahi script. Rashida wasn't the one. Carly Red was the one. Additionally, she appeared to had entered a crime scene directly. That night, she was not meant to be anywhere close to the studio. Hours before her segment ended, she had said that she was heading out for a late supper in Buckhead. However, Carly always senses drama before it occurs because she is Carly. And the way she entered, her arms folded, her eyebrows arched, her lips clenched, told from the hallway. She had heard enough to know precisely what Kirk and Jasmine had been discussing. Carly said, "So this is what y'all do when the cameras stop rolling," in a full of chaotic excitement and judgment. "This is why all," Jasmine said, tensing up. She was not going to allow Carly to change the course of events. "Becomes a circus." With a theatrical high-pitched chuckle, Carly said, "Carly, mind your business. This isn't your scene." When she's about to wreck life, she always laughs. The moment I heard Kirk admit that he never stopped caring, "Honey, this became my concern. I take it that's the whole season finale." There. With a moan, Kirk retreated as if he had been caught stealing. "Don't do this, Carly. Not this evening." "I'm not doing anything, darling." With a sly smile, Carly took out her phone. However, it seems that the team has already done so. Kirk and Jasmine both froze with that statement alone. Carly angled her phone slightly so they could read the messages from a group on her notification. Bar.talk. Set survivors are discreetly called by the actors. Screenshots had previously been shared by the team. Someone had already informed manufacturing. The worst part was that one of the texts had Rashida tagged in it. Kirk's face was devoid of blood. "No, no, no, no," Jasmine muttered. Carly lowered her voice and took a step closer, saying, "Can't be happening." "Yes, it is taking place. And Rashida is on her already." Manner. The room was immediately filled with terror, to the point that even the audio detected the change. Kirk started to pace and grumble. This was not meant to go this far. All I needed to do was speak. But I wasn't sure of what he was attempting to defend. For a different reason, Jasmine, there was no guilt in her gaze. They were rife with treachery. "You contacted me to come back, either because you wanted me to play the villain once again, or because you needed to chat. For once, Kirk, tell me the truth." For a moment, the room seemed to be becoming smaller as he turned to face her. "I swear, Jas, I had no idea Carly would." "I'm not referring to Carly." Jasmine lost her temper. "I'm referring to you. Tonight, what did you desire for me?" However, before Kirk could respond, the weighty rush of chilly air caused the loose papers on the counter to flutter as the studio doors swung wide open. It was Rashida this time. Her shoes made a gunshot-like click as she strode inside. Her expression was a mixture of anger and grief. She didn't seem perplexed. She didn't seem shocked. She seemed to be a lady prepared for battle. Carly's eyes brightened as if she had front row tickets to mayhem. She stepped forward. She wanted to see. Rashida didn't even give Carly a glance. Her gaze was fixed on Kirk and Jasmine. who were far away, too near to one another. When the cameras cut, you guys do this. Her voice. This is what has really been taking place. Kirk attempted to go in her direction, but Rashida raised a hand. And even Carly briefly stopped talking after seeing the expression on. Don't even try to move. In of the impending explosion, Jasmine inhaled deeply. Rashida, however, glared at her. And you, why are you here at all? After everything, after all the lies, and after all the suffering you caused. Jasmine would not give up. Kirk begged me to return. I didn't just appear. Rashida felt like she was slapped by that statement. She looked across at Kirk. You're summoning her back to the set then? Behind my back, Kirk opened his lips to say after we had discussed everything and reconstructed everything, but he was at a loss for words for the first time in a long time. Rashida's voice broke. We're in a better position. You informed production. We're in a better place. You told Emmy. Carly rolled her eyes. 5 minutes earlier, he informed Jasmine that he still cared. Carly. Kirk gave a bark. However, the harm had already been done. Rashida staggered back as if she had been struck. Her eyes welled with tears. But they held back. Not quite yet. Rashida doesn't cry unless she is completely overwhelmed. Every breath, every trembling inhalation, was captured on the released audio. I didn't ask for this, Jasmine muttered, but Rashida abruptly interrupted her. You certainly didn't leave. However, he continued, returning to me. So Jasmine shot back without hesitation. There was silence in the room. Carly froze as well. Rashida's jaw tightened as she gazed at Kirk. Is that accurate? Kirk shook his head rapidly in terror. She's twisting it. No, really. Jasmine lost her temper. It wasn't you who texted Maine in the middle of the night. It wasn't you who requested to speak off camera. You didn't ask me to be silent, because you didn't want Rashida to have another on-set outburst. Rashida had fiery eyes. Oh well, Carly muttered. Stop, Jasmine, don't do that, Kirk said, but Jasmine was no longer holding back. No, you see, I'm sick of keeping you safe. I'm sick of taking the blame while you pretend to be the devoted spouse. Rashida's, the room trembled as the voice fell to a whisper. I didn't have a breakdown. I was your spouse. For the first time, Kirk seemed to be on the verge of tears. Let me clarify, Rashida gave a slow shake of her head. Describe what, that you still have feelings for Jasmine, that you've been deceiving me once again, that your lesson was never taught, now completely committed. Carly attempted to intervene, like her usual messy referee. All right, hold on before we all go crazy, but Rashida lost it. Carly, stop talking. Carly winced. Oh no. Because of the intense strain, even the production lights appeared to make a bigger buzz. Then an unforeseen event occurred. Jasmine became softer. Rashida, I'm not trying to hurt you, she murmured, her voice breaking. I didn't want this. I never wanted to be in the middle again, Rashida said in a shaky voice. So why didn't you go for a walk? Away. Jasmine paused, and while she didn't leave, her reluctance was louder than any response. Not from Kirk. Not from the mayhem. Not from the past. Kirk glanced between them. Defeated. I'm trying to make things right. My goal is to improve as a guy. Rashida interrupting bitterly, by saying your former fling. Kirk shouted. At that moment, the crew member's unsteady camera captured an unexpected moment. Jasmine spoke a barely audible. Said you were missing me. Rashida stumbled back. Gosh. Was defeated. Why would you say that, Jasmine raised her hands. Because it's the reality. Carly's scream was so loud it reverberated. When the studio doors opened, the room was on the verge of a complete breakdown. AGN and production entered this time, with 2 security officers at her sides. Producer Mona Scott Young herself entered. She seemed exhausted, angry, and delighted all at once. The ideal producer combination. She raised her voice and yelled, "Everyone stop." Everybody froze. Even the crew remained still, including Rashida, Kirk, Jasmine, and Carly. As if she were walking into a board meeting, Mona entered the middle of the room. What on earth is happening here? She made a demand. No one responded. Mona looked to the closest camera assistants, the leak who had captured it. Quiet. After letting out a long sigh, Mona turned to face the cast. All right. Let me at least be in charge of how your dirty laundry appears on television, if you wish to do so. However, this is really messy. Families, agreements, and trust might all be destroyed by this. So, someone needs to get started conversing. However, Carly shouted out before anybody could confess. They've been skulking about, Mona. Jasmine shouted. Carly, please stop talking. Kirk yelled. We weren't hiding. Rashida muttered. He expressed his longing for her. Mona's mouth fell open. True. Kirk his gaze. The team recognized this was more than simply drama at that precise time passed. Because of what Kirk stated afterwards caused complete turmoil for the whole cast, crew, and internet. I'm not sure how I feel anymore. The studio blew up. Rashida let out a scream. You're amazing. Oh, this is good, Carly said before storming away, and Jasmine started weeping. Kirk pursued Rashida, and Mona screamed at the workers. Until I figure out who released this awful film. Nobody leaves this building. Everything was captured by the leaky microphone. Every stride, every cry, every curse, every door bang. The worst thing was that Rashida remained inside the building. Thus the night didn't end. She went someplace, no one was there. Anticipated. Right to the dressing room of Jasmine. Rashida stayed out of the parking lot. She failed to pick up her purse. She didn't even check her phone despite the fact that messages from fans. Cast members who had somehow already found out that an incident occurred on the set. Rather, she marched straight down the dark corridor, past the makeup chairs and the wardrobe area, until she came to the door that had Jasmine's name attached to it. The camera assistant who disclosed this section was nearly missed, according to the film. He followed from a distance, his pulse racing, tucking the rig to his chest as it continued to roll. His footsteps reverberate behind hers. Then 3 loud knocks are heard on the tape. Still trembling, Jasmine's words emerged from inside. Rashida didn't wait for permission when I stated, I needed a minute. She opened the door by twisting the doorknob. Jasmine was seated in front of the vanity mirror, tissues strewn all over the counter, mascara running down her face. She seemed little, almost delicate. However, as soon as she saw who was standing with her back straight in the doorway, "Oh," Jasmine said. "It's you," Rashida said, shutting the door behind her with a quiet click that, for some reason, was louder than a smash. "Yeah," she said, "it's me." Neither lady said anything for a while. The studio may have been fueled by the tension in that little space. One of them was heard breathing a little too quickly in the audio leak. At last, Rashida said, "It's hard to tell who's." "I'm not here to fight you," she firmly but quietly said. Jasmine laughed without amusement and said, "I'm past that part. Are you sure? It seemed like you were prepared to look at me out there." Rashida yelled back without thinking, "Throw a drink in my face." If I wanted to throw something, it wouldn't be a drink. They both stopped, and then, to everyone's, both ladies burst out laughing. Not because it was humorous, but rather because it was crazy, and their lives had turned into. And Jasmine wiped her tears and said, "This is crazy. We are literally in a dressing room crying over the endless loop of the same man, the same betrayal, the same pain. Yes, we are. And I'm exhausted." "The same guy again." Rashida took a step toward him but maintained her distance as if there were an invisible barrier between them. Jasmine's voice softened, and so did mine. The silence returned, but this time it was heavy, weary, and full of unsaid history. Finally, Rashida remarked, "You know what hurts the most? It's not just what he's doing with you, it's that he looked at me. I believed him, I stood up for him, and he assured me we were getting better." Jasmine muttered, "Fans, please stop bringing up his name in my comments. He told me the same thing." "What do you mean?" Rashida scowled as she glanced up. Jasmine let out a long sigh, as if she had been bearing this burden for years. "He informed me that you were no longer romantically involved with him, and that you were just remaining with him for the show, the brand, and the companies." Rashida's jaw clenched as he said that he had checked out and that he was the one attempting to keep the family together. "I assumed it was a lie. But when you have a past with someone, you want to think they've changed," Jasmine said. "You want to think they're not the same person who previously caused you pain. You still love him." The dressing room seemed smaller, as if the walls were closing in. Rashida questioned abruptly, scarcely raising her voice above a whisper. "I don't know," Jasmine said after hesitating and averting her gaze. "I don't even know what that word means with him anymore," she said. "I worry about him, I care about him. I get upset when he lies, and I feel wounded when he vanishes. Yet I still feel something when he says he misses me." Rashida briefly closed her eyes as if that response caused her bodily pain. She said, "The fans think I'm stupid for staying. They comment all kinds of stuff. Leave him. They don't witness the therapy or the nights," we sobbed. "Once a cheater, always a cheater. You deserve better." "The children don't witness me asking, 'Mom, are you and Dad okay?'" Jasmine swallowed hard as they saw the incident. "The followers believe they don't notice the conflicting signals and the messages he gives me when the cameras are off. I'm the villain, the home wrecker, the one who broke in and ruined everything. They just see the girl who slept with a married guy. They don't see him assuring me that I'm not crazy and that he still feels something. This leaked moment was remarkable because both ladies were speaking the truth, at least their truths rather, than just yelling and throwing shade. The two ladies realized they were both being choked by the smoke as they stood on different sides of the same fire. Rashida responded slowly. You know what I realized tonight? We're fighting while he's in the middle, telling both of us different stories. Rashida took a long breath and said, let's stop. Jasmine caught her gaze. That's exactly what I've been feeling, Rashida remarked. Stop making each other the enemy while he keeps lying. Jasmine scowled. Stop what? Stop letting him play us against each other. Let him stand in it by himself if he wants to be dirty. Stunned, Jasmine gazed at her. Are you saying, if he wants to be dirty? Stunned, Jasmine gazed at her. Are you saying, I'm referring to tonight? Rashida said, I'm not here as Kirk's wife, for once. As a woman who has had enough of being ashamed, I am here. The sound of Jasmine's chair creaking as she turned completely to face Rashida was picked up by the audio. So, what do you want from me? Jasmine, you want me to leave Atlanta? I inquired. Do you want me to leave the show? Rashida gave a headshake. The truth is what I desire. Everything, every late night call, every message. I want to know what he has been up to behind my back every time he reaches out. Back. In real life as well as on television, because I won't be leaving this marriage with any unanswered questions. Jasmine gave her a glance. The phone screen is still dark on the vanity. Do you want evidence? She inquired. Yes, said Rashida, because I am aware that he has been lying to me, but I have to find out how deep it goes. Jasmine paused. The battle raging within her was almost palpable. On the one hand, fully exposing Kirk meant destroying everything that remained between them. However, she was sick of being the plot device, the secret, and the blame. At last, she reached for her phone. You asked for the truth, she muttered. She unlocked the device, browsed for a little while, and then opened a messaging thread called Frost, saying, I'm about to give it to you. Rashida's heart fell. In your name, he has an emo. Jasmine gave a nod. He personally placed it there. The camera assistant's breath caught on the recording. It is audible to you. Jasmine gave Rashida the phone. She said, I'm not proud of this. You deserve to see, though, whether we're really done allowing him to steer the story. As Rashida picked up the phone, there was a rustling noise, a lengthy silence. She then started reading aloud slowly. I am unable to speak at this time. She's at home. Rashida had a little voice. I long for the simplicity of the past. I shouldn't feel this way, but I do. Don't answer. In a moment, I will remove this. Her hands began to tremble. As she read sporadic passages, her voice broke as she scrolled more quickly. Last night, I had a dream about you. There are moments when I think you're the only person who really understands me. She would have stopped if circumstances were different. At last, tears came. Jasmine saw the damage as she sat there in silence. Then another person entered the changing room. As if the cosmos wasn't chaotic enough, the door opened an inch as the doorknob turned gently. It was Mona Scott's voice. Are you okay in here, Rashida? Jasmine got up and cleaned her face fast, but Rashida remained silent. She continued to gaze at the phone as if it were a weapon. With a gloomy expression, Mona entered and shut the door. She softened upon seeing them. Oh, she muttered. Thus, this is the actual episode. Rashida released a shattered laugh. Mona, you have your plot. Congratulations, said. This isn't about a plot. Moreover, than a producer for once. I just finished speaking with the network on the phone. I've already been affected by the briefs and screenshots. The fans are going nuts. Already, they are taking sides. Trending is the Frost family. Trending is Jasmine. You're in style. This is now more than an episode. Jasmine's eyes had already become wide. We're still on the set. When individuals are unable to keep their phones in their pockets, that is what occurs. Angry, Mona said, we are attempting to identify the source of the initial video leak. However, it isn't even the primary problem at the moment. She had a straight appearance. In Rashida, what you wish to do is the problem. Rashida gave a blink. By what do you mean? I mean, Mona began, carefully selecting her words. Which would you prefer, narrative that tells you or one that we tell? Confused, Rashida scowled. I don't understand. Mona moved in closer. Your story is now being written by the internet. They're going crazy with fragments of this leak. You have two options. Either stand up or allow them to drag you. Call you weak, call you stupid, or claim that you're remaining with a disrespectful guy. And advocate for yourself. Jasmine shuffled uneasily on camera, According to your demands, do you want to use cameras for this? Mona gave a headshake. I won't lie, but I also don't want to take advantage of you. Something will be broadcast on the network. This is how it works. The issue is whether it will be a raw discussion where you control the message or a messy, half-true disaster that makes you appear insane. Rashida glanced at Jasmine before. How about him? She inquired. Kirk, what about him? Mona let out a breath. He's now going crazy in his dressing room. He is aware of a leak. He is aware that you noticed something. He's not sure how much. Rashida snorted. He's asking if we can spin it, if we can cut around it. He is, of course. Mona went on. I have a query from the network. Is the Frost household still a unified front, or is this the start of the end? They are curious about the narrative for which they are getting ready. There was silence in the room. Softly, Jasmine said, and Mona, what do you want? Mona glanced between them. The truth is what I desire. I'm sick of covering up gunshot wounds on television. Even if it's unattractive, I want you to express your true feelings. Fans are not foolish. When you guys are being fake for the cameras, they can tell. This is the current situation. I've never seen you like this. So, what are you saying? It's been 2 years. Rashida gulped hard. You want to make a scene and drag each other? She inquired. No, Mona said. I want you to drag him so I can make a scene. That caught both women off guard. What? Jasmine blinked. You two have been fighting each other for years, Mona said, folding her arms. The fans are worn out. You're all exhausted. To be honest, I'm exhausted. Something was shown tonight. It's him who continues to play both sides. The wound is constantly being reopened by him. If a reckoning is to occur, it must be directed where it belongs. Jasmine and Rashida shared a long, serious glance. What happens if I go for a walk? Silently, Rashida inquired. What if I'm done with filming? Done with all of it? Mona said slowly nodded. If that's the choice you make, I will support it as a woman, even if it provides the network. Jasmine bit her lip. A heart attack as a producer. And me? What does it mean for me? That depends, Mona. Do you still want to keep him safe? Or are you prepared to cease being the secret? Jasmine sagged her shoulders. I don't no longer want to keep him safe. However, I also don't want to be seen as a malevolent villain. I'm sick of folks telling the opposite side of the story after only witnessing half of it. Rashida saw at her image in the dressing room mirror, swollen eyes and smudged makeup, a lady who had seen this tale too many times. Half, Mona said simply on camera. Fans are shocked. She muttered to herself, maybe it's time the truth divides it all the way instead of me pretending it's fine. The family has already split. Okay, she murmured, turning to face Jasmine and Mona. I'll do it. I'll face him on camera. I'm revealing it all. No script, no picture protection, Rashida said. But I'm not going in alone, at which Jasmine took a short breath. You sure? I've never been more sure. She gave Jasmine a straight look. Will you accompany me? The audience subsequently disputed whether or not Jasmine had the courage to stand behind the wife when she froze. After what seemed like an eternity, Jasmine nodded. Yeah, she said. Would she reveal the guy they had both loved, or would she collapse as she had in the past when things became too real? I'll be there. Mona grinned a little, not in the arrogant manner of a producer, but as if she were seeing two individuals awaken at last. All right then, she replied as she made her way to the door. I'll have them set up on stage 3. Just chairs, just microphones, just the 3 of us. No glam, no fake lighting, no extras. Rashida tightened her grasp on the phone, thinking, Kirk doesn't know you've seen the messages yet. Let's see what he says when he doesn't know what's coming. He's going to find out, she murmured, her voice firm now. The door thudded softly behind Mona as she walked out. The last words said in that room before they left for the stage were recorded on the leaked audio. Are you sure you don't want to strike him first? Oh, I'm going to hit him, Rashida replied, grinning despite her tears. Just not with my hands, she said. The subsequent portion of the leak occurred beneath the harsh glare of studio lights, with cameras rolling once more. Not in a corridor, a dimly lit dressing room, or behind a lighting setup. However, VH1 was not in charge of the narrative this time. Instead, it was them, and everything is located there. Altered. When Jasmine and Rashida strolled, fans knew they were going to take the stage together. Revealing Kirk, they were recreating the entirety eternally. The actors and crew were in disbelief. The internet went crazy, with predictions for the future. However, the reality is that this leak is only the starting. If you like the unprocessed, in conclusion, what Kirk said on camera, who had the first breakdown, and which the partnership didn't last the night, then press like. Subscribe to Smash and drop your opinions in the comments section. Press like. Subscribe to Smash and drop. Nobody anticipated what would happen when the VH1 cameras turned off that evening. But a staff member continued to film in secret. Additionally, what Kirk and Jasmine accomplished during those raw minutes, the whole production crew are taken aback. Rashida is heart-emotional. Source closure might ruin everything. The once the video stir the cast's garbled conversation and the dull buzz of the studio lights going off. In the